Hi everybody, it's Andrea, aka Violent Kitty 411, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much to everybody who has been engaging with comments, likes, and subscribing. You know I do appreciate it, and it does make this project so much more fun when I have an engaged audience. So we are back in Desiderata Valley for another home redesign, but before we do that, I do want to make one small correction about the Aspire household. If you do download it, you will need to switch the up staircase and the down staircase, just reverse them. It apparently won't work to have the up staircase on this side. That's the only thing. Sorry about that. I forgot to play test that. So today's clients are the Bell household, and the Bell family is doing wonderfully well, but will Hannah's sister moving in cause a critical disturbance? Well, let's go check. Okay, so here we have Hannah Bell and her sister Sharon Wirth. Now, they're both in the dance career. Sharon is actually further along than her sister, and even though Sharon is younger, so one would think her sister took some time to have a baby. But one thing that I notice is that Sharon has an adjusted personality, and you wonder what made her lose outgoing and nice points yet gain activity. What trauma did she suffer? Gotta wonder. And Hannah Bell met Elizabeth Aspire in high school. They have been inseparable ever since. Even marriage and raising their own families hasn't weakened their relationship. I think that's a strange bio, not gonna lie. Now Sharon is definitely the smarter of the two sisters. She's the only one that got an A plus. And again, checking memories and things like that kind of gives you a clue as to who they are. Sharon has decided to move in with her sister's family until she becomes a bit more financially stable. She has found herself very interested in Mr. Mole, but has had a difficult time getting to know him. That's probably because he's a secret agent, sweetheart. Not gonna lie. And now her lifetime hobby has already been revealed, that it is music and dance, but Hannah's has not been. So here we have Isaac, who is an arts and crafts sim. And Isaac has a good life and has started climbing the ranks in his dream career. He's currently a mime. Can he balance both reaching for the stars and keeping his family happy? And finally, we have young Daniel. Daniel loves drawing and seems to have inherited his mother's artistic abilities. That's kind of a clue. I'm guessing that we will discover that Hannah actually is an artist. Will his mother let him develop on his own or only nurture his artistic qualities? So there we go. And we have not discovered his abilities, although they're not technically arts and crafts. And Hannah's natural personality does lend itself to being arts and crafts, so I'm willing to bet that's what she is, but not ready to say that 100% because, again, she's naturally sloppy. Yeah, probably arts and crafts. Okay, so the house is a bit awkward. The walkway out to the very strange gazebo is interesting. I mean, we've got a little bit of a wraparound, but not a complete veranda porch. So, yeah, there's some strange things from the outside. We've got the bit of the mansard roof like we had on the Aspire home, but it's not really a usable mansard roof. Top floor has Daniel's room, Isaac and Hannah's room, their private bathroom, Daniel's bathroom up here. Down here we have Sharon's room and a little, not quite sure what that is, hallway, her bathroom or downstairs bathroom, the dining room, the kitchen, the main room, and the dance studio. So everything is a bit bass-awkward, of course, because that's what would a Max's house be if things weren't. We've got a decent sized footprint. Not sure what I'm going to do with this. I don't really care for it. I think it makes it look a little weird, like a gangway of some sort. Not wild about it, but of course, we can do things. So let me check to make sure that they're ready to be evicted. So the family has nothing that I'm emotionally attached to keeping, so we're just going to go ahead and evict them. Their budget is $94,653, and the house is currently $41,899. Daisy has something to say. Say hello to your fans, Daisy. I know. Okay, so I'm going to go in and look at things, but I already have a couple ideas. Okay, so of course the first thing we're going to do is a bit of deconstruction, which includes removing this roof, because in order for me to visualize it, I need to not be hampered by the roof that currently is, and that's always a problem. Let's go ahead and get rid of that, and now I'm going to remove all the roof, plus I am going to remove the entirety of this area over here, just because legitimately I don't care for it. I really don't. I do love a gazebo, do not get me wrong, and I will actually make sure there is a gazebo included in the final version, but I don't like this one, and so we're going to definitely get rid of this whole area just because it displeases me in such a big way. And also, I want to work in lot adjuster quite a bit. I have some goals for the whole thing, and I just feel like the best way to do what I want to do is to change the lot. So we're changing the exterior a lot in order to truly meet my vision. Yes, we want the lot flat. Flat lots are a bit boring, but they're useful, and plus I might add some terrain in later, but right now we're going to go ahead and assume that I want things a lot differently than they currently are. So now that I have my tabula rasa the way I want it, I took 12 tiles off of the front, added them to the back, so I have a decent backyard. I also made it 10 tiles narrower on the right side, and so it's a narrower, deeper lot, which is much more manageable and much more realistic. Since Free Time is one of two packs that does actually actively have cars, I'm going to go ahead and take this as a cue, because that looks like it was meant to be a garage. So let's go ahead and turn it into a garage before I continue with the rest of my redesign. And make sure that if you're going to add one to a pre-existing house, that you actively take off whatever from above where you're working, because that can cause problems. Now also, if you are using lot adjuster, make sure you remove any terrain paint before you use it. In this case, I can get rid of most of it, but not all of it. And I actually experienced that with the Optimus redesign, is that I couldn't get rid of all the terrain paint. So make sure you do it first. And let's see actually if I can get rid of this terrain paint right here. It wouldn't be tragic because it's going to get covered, but see, yeah, it can't necessarily get covered if you do it afterwards. So make sure, I had missed those terrain paints, so that's fine, not a problem. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get this garage added. And now that I have the footprint that I want, it's time to go ahead and figure that very likely it's not a particularly large house, but it has a decent sized footprint. So let's just assume that I might want to use that. So we will do this much and that. Carve away that. And knowing that it is a very flat lot will make it so much easier. Don't know exactly what I might be using this for, but I will most likely be using a basement of some sort, because it's not a particularly large house and we'll find the space where we find it, right? So of course, coming up with an effective floor plan is pretty much always predicated on choosing the right staircase and the right placement of the staircase. And despite the fact that I do it so frequently, the fact of the matter is a spiral staircase, and this is not a huge footprint. The spiral staircase is going to be the most bang for the buck when we're talking about a smaller footprint. So let's just go ahead and stick that right there. And we will also place the matte glass arch because it works really well. We like it. Right like that. And it will recover when we exit to the neighborhood and then re-enter. I did want to get all 3 bedrooms upstairs. That way we could kind of think of things, the downstairs for the main living purposes. So we've got this as Hannah and Isaac's room. And this I'm thinking is actually going to be Daniel's room. And right here will be Sharon's room. Now there will be an additional bathroom right here, and this is going to be the master bath, and this is just going to be a little bit of a bonus room. Okay, now down here, since I have the door that will be coming right here off of the garage, this is going to be the natural bath or the natural kitchen with an eating space. I don't foresee them as being the dinner party kind of folks, so we're not going to give them a formal dining room. This is going to be their main entry hall right here, and there's going to be a hall bath right there. And this will be a great room. I might give it semi enclosed spaces, but I intend for this to be primarily open concept. And then downstairs, we're going to have a couple different spaces. I haven't exactly defined them in my head just yet, but right like that. Now for the exterior, we are going to do just a little bit of landscaping. We're going to put the willow trees kind of far out, that way they don't ever obstruct playability. We are going to go ahead and do a little bit of a porch, and I was debating whether or not I wanted to use the lattice or the foundation. And I think actually I'm going to go ahead and use a foundation. So we will just go ahead and do a couple, not that far out. Top down, always easiest. Right, like that. And then we will fill in with the diagonals. For a little bit more of a back porch, just to give it a little bit more of that little bit old worldy feel. And if I'm going to use foundation for that, I'm going to change this up and I'll use foundation for this as well. There we go. But I'm going to keep only the area of the basement under the actual house. And of course, if you love it, you should put a roof on it. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to put a temporary wall right here. That is just for the purpose of creating the roof. And now we're going to go ahead and pull in our hipped shed roof, and it's not going to want to do that because there's windows there, which is fine. We will get rid of them and we will put them back. So the hipped shed roof right up like that. Then another one right here. Make sure it's, is that right? Yep. And then finally one right here. We're going to use our roof angle chooser, and we're going to drop it all the way to the bottom. There is a tiny little bit of a clipping there. We're not going to worry about it too much. It's not important. Not important, okay? Now we'll just go back into the wall tool and we will take those walls away. And that is our roof. Now let's go ahead and find that window again. Where is it? Right there. And I'm not even going to put it exactly where they were because there were too many. So there was one right here, and nothing over here. So we're just going to put 2 in on the opposite side of the bathroom. And I am pretty certain that it was unidentified simmer who told me that if I put something in perpendicular, look at that, it disappears. Okay, can't do it from there. We go. Isn't that a beautiful trick? Thank you so much. And for the upper story, of course, it needs a roof as well. We're going to do the long gabled roof. We will drop that to 40 degrees. And we're going to put a couple dormers in just for a little more architectural interest, or do I just want to drop it more? Let me see what happens if I drop it more. You know what? We're going to drop it to 30 and call it good because that just has Americana written all over it, doesn't it? I like it like that, and I was actually experiencing problems with symmetry with the dormers, so we're just not going to, quit while you're ahead. Not everything has to be done quite that well. I am actually going to grab this little guy here and stick it right under the eave here, so there is a little natural light in this bathroom that's right here, but it doesn't need to be substantial. And of course, even though there's nothing actually supporting the roof, we should make it look like there is. So I gave it the railing from Open for Business and some blue columns just to pull everything together because it's pretty. And we do want to complete the look by pulling our walkway all the way through. And we'll probably do some landscaping detail in here. Also, I want to do the same thing I did, use the same fencing I did on the Aspears home. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's a pretty fence. It really is. The one with the flowers on it. And since I took away the gazebo, but I did promise that I was going to bring it back, I'm going to start with a 7x7 square. And then I'm going to carve off, oops, helps if I hold the correct button, apparently. Okay, carve off the corners. Okay, because 2 tiles diagonal are almost equal to 3 tiles not diagonal. Not quite, but if you understand the Pythagorean theorem, that'll make more sense to you. And for the time being only, we are going to put walls in here. Although I make a lot of octagonal buildings because they make nice mausoleums. And now choosing the lowest of the octagonal roofs, go to the opposite corner and okay, it's floating in no man's land. We don't like that. I am legitimately trying to figure out A, why this is doing this, and B, how to fix it. So it took a little bit of thinking, figuring that the amount of floating was roughly the same as one foundation height. And so I figured out that if I put this ceiling tile here, it would attach to the ceiling tile instead of hovering above it. Now, this is what it looks like, a 7x3, but I think I like this, a 5x3 better. Less is more. That's our gazebo. Well, we'll take away the walls and then put in the columns. And for the record, it was probably associated with me using the constrained floor elevation sheet on the same lot, because I've never experienced this before, but that's all I can figure. But I found a workaround, so that's pretty much all that really matters, right? And giving it all the finishings makes it a proper little gazebo. I love it. So now that I've got the exterior finished and I feel that it's quite attractive, I am going to decorate and furnish the interior. I think the blue really does work. And just a tiny little personal update, actually, while I was trying to figure out what was happening with the roof of the gazebo, my sweet Lily actually had a seizure, which got recorded. And then I called my mother and hadn't quit recording, and she had a second seizure in the hour following, which also got recorded. So it's been an upsetting day. Okay, time to look it over. It is pretty sparsely furnished because I ran out of money, but that's okay. So obviously the biggest change to the exterior is the roof line. This over here being dropped the maximum. This is a galley, or excuse me, a gabled roof that has been dropped relatively low. And I had thought about dormers, but I decided against it because I figured that putting the covered porch on made up for that, so a little bit more interest. And of course we did do an attached garage. Back here is where the gazebo that I promised I would have is, and I think it looks a lot better than the monstrosity that was attached to the house for reasons that were weird. Let's just say they were weird. And in the back we do have a little, bistro set to sit and enjoy a nice al fresco meal. And like I said, it is sparsely furnished. So in the front room, it's a pretty large entryway. Over here, we've got a 2x3 bath. This, I actually didn't realize till just the very last second that I had this on the wrong tile, but this is where the spiral staircase is. And on this side of the entryway, we have a chess set. So when Daniel brings somebody home from school, he can work on chess and make friends, because my sim kids are no slouches. I have the great room in greens and yellows, and there's plenty of room to do other things in here. Off of the great room is the kitchen with the dining space. Now, with the ceiling up like this, you don't get to see, oh, well, there, right there. See, I have this diamond border that perfectly matches these seats. And then the tile is Neapolitan tile from the Life Stories collection. So they pull together very nicely. So a lot of pinks and yellows in the kitchen with the eating space. I didn't figure that they seemed like somebody that would, like people I should say, that would really have a formal dining room. But if they ever want another dining table, this would be the place for it. And you get out onto the back deck from this door, and you can appreciate the gazebo, which, there we go. Love it. I'm so proud of that. At the top of the stairs is a landing. This would be Sharon's door. This for Hannah and Isaiah. And right here is Daniel. And then a bathroom and just kind of a little, rec room. And another fun detail is that this base game bedspread perfectly matches the flowers in her hair border up here. And this is mostly a Bon Voyage furniture. Now we go into Hannah and Isaiah's room, or Isaac's room, excuse me. And not only does this base game bedspread perfectly match the flowers in his hair, but it also matches this cheap little chair. So that pulled together very nicely with the greens and the yellows, which I feel complements this little Degas-like painting. And back through right here is going to be Daniel's room, very cowboy themed, kind of rustic. Great fun for a little boy. And again, we've got a bathroom right here and just a little bit of a sitting room, rec room, where Daniel can watch his cartoons on a Saturday morning before his parents really wake up. And the downstairs is really for activities. We've got a subversive game of Don't Wake the Llama, the downfall of many young man. Over here, we've got an arts and crafts room, and that's actually primarily for Isaiah. And a ballet/exercise room over here. I definitely feel like this has much better curb appeal and neighborhood appeal, so let's go ahead and put our Sims in it. And if I do say so myself, the neighborhood is already looking better from above. Okay. Already it looks so much better. And you don't need to stand inside the mailbox there, Hannah. And Daniel, why don't you go to school? Because we just don't really want to deal with you right now. Walk to school, and I don't think anybody else has to go to work today, do they? Not right now. Okay. No fanfare, public school. Sucks to be you. And Hannah and Isaac are on their way to check out, and Hannah just figured it out. Both she and Isaac are now enthusiastic about art. Sharon, why don't you do some ballet? There we go. She had her aha moment. Great. Unfortunately, we don't have enough money to have a car. Otherwise, I would put it in there. I'm not going to give them one they have to build because, frankly, they don't seem like the kind that want to build their own car. So Natasha Una and Marcel Jacques have joined us. We'll just let them hang out there. So Hannah burnt the shrimp gumbo. That's fine. Still probably tastes relatively decent, but it can't be fantastic. Why don't you serve some nectar and start down the road to having a drinking problem? That's great. And Hannah, why don't you greet the headmaster? Okay, great. And why don't you give him a tour? Okay, great. That's awesome. Let's go over here a little bit. It might show up just a tiny bit better. Nope, you know what? We're not going to waste it on that. Okay, that's better. Let's go ahead and show that. Yep, he seems impressed. Well, 10 points worth of impressed. That's fine. Okay, pretty good room score right there. Go ahead, show it. Fantastic. This will be the best area in the house, I'm guessing. Show it. All right, and we can still do at least one more. And although one usually wouldn't show a complete stranger your bedroom, it worked for Hannah. Okay, great. Let's feed him. I don't think we're getting in. Okay, everybody, put on your best effort for showing this guy a good time. No, Isaac, you have to sit here. Sit. I did not. Let's work the schmooze. You guys got this. I mean, Corey seems like he's relatively impressed, but we're not doing great. We got 51 points for tour. The house did its part. We only got 18 points of food, so let's try to schmooze about school. You know what? No, you can't schmooze about school. Isaac, you're up. You're up because you've got at least, all right, you try to schmooze about school. They can't cook. All right, that's too bad, Daniel. I think you're relegated to public school. Good luck with that. Well, the house did its part, but with the inability to cook or dazzle with sparkling repartee, poor Daniel didn't make it into private school. However, I think that the house is going to hold its own in the neighborhood. So don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I will see you soon in the pixelated world. And that's all I have to say. VK out.